from a government point of view, there seems to be a number of own goals that have happened, particularly in the month of June. It's been a spectacular month, particularly for political journalists, with politicians doing all the hard work in this regard. Joining us on the program now, Maryanne Spurdle from the Maxim Institute. Maryanne, kia ora, good morning. Thanks for your time today.
Good morning, Andrew.
I mean, goals are a good thing in football. Own goals, not so much. Hey, we scored a lot of goals, but points go to the opposition rather than us.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been the way it's been politically in the month of June. It's almost difficult to keep up with what's been happening, right?
Totally, yeah.
I mean,
one after another.
Yeah, talk us through some of the highlights or lowlights, depending on your politics on this one.
Yeah, it depends which side you're on as to how much you enjoyed that. The column that came out a couple of weeks ago, Michael Wood's fiasco was kind of the center of that, because it just kept rolling.
It's a slow burn, wasn't it? You think it's over and then it's not. Again, a football metaphor. But that was a strange one.
And it looked like he thought he could get rid of it by just donating the proceeds of his shares to a charity. And then it came out, actually, you've got more shares that you didn't.
If you'd included all of them, that would have worked, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just kind of this running theme of lack of accountability, which, characterized a few other stories as well. And about the same time, the public service bloat, the evidence report came out by Bryce Wilkinson.
Yeah.
And at face value, they don't look like they've got a whole lot to do with each other. But the story of the inefficiency in government, really, it's the same story.
Yeah.
There's a lack of accountability, isn't there?
It's not just the ministers who are involved with this. It's what's happening in the department, how efficient they are, whether or not, I suppose, from a taxpayer point of view, whether we're getting value for money from our government at the moment. According to the report, there's a lot more public servants. There's a lot more bureaucrats. I mean, is that good news?
Well, it's kind of like if you are paying more for something, if you're investing more in something and you're getting more, like you go out to a restaurant and you're not paying $25 a plate, you're paying $60.
Yep.
But you're getting something that you couldn't make at home. You're not going to complain because you're getting wonderful service and a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
But we're paying $60 a plate and we're getting spaghetti on toast.
Yeah. Or entrees instead of mains, basically.
Yeah. So you start asking, well, what are you doing with the other $55?
Yeah.
And so the report's quite cool because it compares other countries to New Zealand. Not everybody's doing fabulously. We're not the only ones who are inefficient. But, one of the tests shows effectiveness and efficiency on, in 4 quadrants. And you've got Australia, for instance, is above average in both efficiency and effectiveness. Mm-hmm. We're below average on both. So there are little signs like that. But there are people who are not being accountable to the people they're working for, whether it's their prime minister, whether it's their minister, whether it's the people who've elected them.
Yeah.
There's just a lack of accountability. Because I don't think they're all just, stupid.
No. But you've got
putting money into things that aren't actually having outcomes.
Yeah. And we've got more people achieving less for more money, essentially.
Yeah.
How is this sort of thing calculated? I mean, it's probably all done with spreadsheets by people smarter than me, that's for sure. But how do they go about measuring efficiency and effectiveness of a government department?
I don't know what has gone into those stats.
Yeah.
The report. It's on the New Zealand Initiative website by Bryce Wilkinson.
Okay.
There are, spreadsheets and stuff that show glimpses of it. I don't do that kind of stuff, so I don't know what all they factor in. But it will be things like, look at our hospital wait lists.
Okay.
Things like that will be factored into what's being spent on healthcare. So there are outcomes that they can measure, and they'll be looking at those outcomes, and they'll be looking at, percentage of GDP spend for the public sector, for instance, stuff like that. You can get a little picture of how well or how badly things are going.
It's kind of getting to the point as well that we can't sort of go, but COVID. Because like you say, there's an international comparison here. Everybody was sort of in the same boat in that regard. And, I think for most people, at least, we're going, yes, that was a thing, but we're moving forward now. This cannot be the perpetual excuse for inefficiency and not achieving our targets.
Yeah. And even with COVID, decisions that were made maybe there could have been better decisions that wouldn't have had that financial impact. So even with COVID, Australia has not had the increase in public service spend that we have had. Okay. The UK has. Things aren't going well in the UK. So there are comparisons there that are helpful. And there are reasons. There are reasons that things aren't easy.
Yeah.
But I think part of the accountability is being transparent with what's going where, why decisions are made, and being honest about stuff, saying, we're going into a recession. Mm-hmm. Instead of promising wonderful things and let's just, pour more money into it, let's be honest about what is hard and then come up with realistic solutions to make things better.
Yeah. I suppose the trick is it's an election year.
Yeah.
We've got a government that really does want to overpromise. That, hey, stick with us and things will be even better than they are at the moment. But it is a tough space economically, as you say, with the recession, with interest rates at the moment. It is very difficult to get bang for your buck. I mean, you mentioned the restaurant analogy earlier on. Very difficult to feel full for less than $100 at the moment, and I mean that perhaps applies to government policy as well.
Yeah, I think one of the things we need to do going into the election is, just double check. Are we voting for people because they're saying things we agree with or that sound good?
Yeah.
Without testing, well, what is your plan, and is that actually going to play out in real life? Yeah. And what's your track record for those who've already been in government? What is your track record? Have you delivered on what you promised? Because I think it's very easy to vote for someone just because we agree with what they're saying, or they sound good when they're saying it. And it takes just a little more time and effort to figure out, is this somebody who's actually capable of managing what they're supposed to manage? Is it somebody whose character has been shown to be up to the task? Because I'd actually rather have people in government who I may disagree with significantly on some things, but I know they're predictable. I know they can manage what they're managing, and I know that they're willing to have a discussion with their critics. Mm-hmm. They're not going to hide behind things. They're going to actually stand behind what they want to do and why they want to do it, and be willing to have a discussion about it instead of, because one of the things that came out in this report is that information specialists, there's now twice as much being spent on information specialists than on policy analysts.
I think they used to call them spin doctors until the spin doctor says, hey, can we change our name?
I wasn't going to call them spin doctors, but yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of what
probably
they are.
A lot of them literally are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
you need some people in those roles. Yeah. I've got a communications background. I'm not going to knock them, but we don't need that many. And the word on the street is it's actually harder to get information out of some people at the moment.
This is perhaps an example because, it's good that we have this research. It's good that this report has been written, but it's also pretty obvious. Hey, you and I are talking about it, but the government hasn't spent any money promoting the outcomes of this report. This is more, hey, yeah, this thing's happened. We're just not going to shine a light on that. However, of course, like the restaurant metaphor that we've been using, football and restaurants, that's been our metaphors, we can vote with our feet, if you like. If we're not happy with the service that we've got, if we don't think we're getting value for money from a restaurant, then we get to have our say. We get to make decisions this year. This is what a participatory democracy is all about, right?
Yeah, it's really on us. Yeah.
Hey, really appreciate the work that you've done shining a light on this important piece of research. Thanks for what you and the team at Maxim do, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Andrew.